You attended St Ignatius College and you would have, I imagine, fairly happy memories. I believe you were particularly good in sport.
Oh, I don't know about particularly good, but I played a full range of sport. Yes, they were happy days. There were tensions. My mother was English, a remarkable woman, and I had, to the mind of the fellows from the country, a Pommy accent for which I was ragged, and this led to a few boxing matches to settle disputes. But by and large, my days at school were happy, and the Jesuits were good teachers. I have pretty good memories of school.
Were any of the Jesuits influential for you?
Oh, I think, yes. Father John Marr was a good rector. Father Healy, who taught me Greek, was a very cultured, wise man. Father McLaughlin, who taught me French. He could never get to teaching me to pronounce French. He was very good at teaching French syntax and grammar. But he had a Dublin brogue, very mellifluous, but he shrank from teaching his pupils to speak. He thought that if he tried to, we'd all finish up with an Irish accent in our spoken French. It was a pity because I really enjoyed French.
At the age of 15, you became, I understand, godfather to your brother, yes, Robert Hughes, which I thought was an interesting and perhaps unusual at that time thing to happen.
Yeah, yes, I suppose so.
You knew early on that you wanted to do law, I take it, although perhaps not the way Frank McAllery did, in the sense that I believe he was told by his mother, Frank, you will practice law.
Oh, well, I was never told that. It became taken for granted, I suppose, because I was potentially the third generation of my family in the law, that I would do law. I never had any other ambition or aim, but until I was in the Air Force in the Second War, I'd always intended to practice as a solicitor.
Like your father?
Yeah. And when I was in Brighton in a holding depot, at which I arrived in October 1943, I was extremely bored. I didn't enjoy being marched up and down the seafront at Brighton by warrant officers. I held the exalted rank of pilot officer, and I thought that it was very inappropriate and unproductive. So I used to nick away up to London, and I went to the law courts and had a look and watched cases. And I gradually formed the aim that my future might be at the bar, which was a bit unfair to my father, as it turned out, but he put no opposition in the way.
Why do you say unfair?
Well, I think that he legitimately expected that I would succeed him as head of the family firm, but you have to do what your ambition drives you to do, and he accepted that, and it was a bit rough on him because his health after his time in the Air Force was not good. I did articles in the firm, my father's firm, in 1941 before I went into the Air Force, and then in 46 when I came back. And then I became associate to Mr. Justice Owen, who was a great friend of my father. He'd been my father's best man. And so that's where my career took me, starting at the bar in February 1949. After a year as associate in 1948, I was an article clerk in 46 and 47 in my father's firm.